against your actions. Heroes. Hello and welcome to Bonus Action Heroes Read RPG Reddit Stories. You can also listen to this in podcast format. Just search for Bonus Action Heroes wherever you get your podcasts. This week our stories tackle the greatest enemy of them all, scheduling. The next one is, one of my PCs died while the player was not there. This is from RD&D and the user Cynical Canadian 93.
Okay.
So, I have a rule. I don't touch your character when you are not at the game, as I don't want to kill you off whilst you are gone. But if you feel comfortable with it, you can allow other players at the table to run your character, but your character can die. I expressed this at the start of the campaign when any player leaves. And when any player leaves. One of my players has a pretty busy schedule and can't always make the session, and when he was first absent, he said the others can use his character and that he understood his character can die. And so they have used his character multiple times now, but this past session they got him killed. He got trapped in a barn and kept getting unlucky as he was targeted. I was rolling dice to see who it would target, as they were close to a TPK, and I didn't want it to seem like I was just picking them off one by one. Anyways, long story short, he takes a crit and gets KO'd, and the monster has one final attack, and it rolled to target him. He took 2 death saves, and when his turn came up, the player controlling him gets a natural 1. Probably could have handled it better, but I can't change what has already happened. I'm kind of at a loss on how to go forward with the absentee player. On the one hand, I want to bring his character back because it is unfair to kill his character off while the player isn't there. On the other hand, I want to play it out. There is a high-level cleric in a nearby town who could bring him back, but the players don't know this, and he understood the rules when he was told. I think he just forgot that it could happen. How would you all proceed?
If someone lets me know in advance, then the combat will be set up for the players that are there.
And they can just fade into the background and not be in that
They
fight.
can just disappear and not be there. But if it's just before the game, I can't make it. It's really frustrating as a GM, because I haven't got time to rejig all the combats. I have to play it by ear, and I know some people are really good at that. I am not. I like to simulate the combats and make sure that they are a good challenge. I think ultimately, if they die when that player isn't there, this is going to sound harsh. It's their fault, not the players who were playing them's fault, because they weren't there to make the decisions. It's a bit harsh. I know, again, life gets in the way. We get ill. We have family things that we have to deal with. We have emergencies. It happens. I know I'm making myself sound like an asshole, but again, it affects everyone when one person doesn't turn up. Ultimately, if that player's away a lot, maybe need to change the way the game's run and maybe give them a character that they can drop in and out with in a way that doesn't damage the game. Gear the game towards the players that are there, and then it's easier to boost stuff than to reduce stuff on the fly. I think they probably knew in advance that this guy wasn't coming, and if that was the case with me, I would just have that character out of the way, and the combat's all geared towards who was there. But if the last game ended in, at the start of combat or in the middle of the combat, you can't really do that very easily. You then have to start downgrading what's already on the table, and it becomes very messy.
If I had downed an absentee player's character, never ever would I hit them.
I wouldn't target a downed player that was absent. I wouldn't do that.
This is the issue.
And that's the thing. You've targeted them when they're down and done their death saves.
The monsters know what they're doing. They play intelligently. So if you have an intelligent monster, they move on to the next alive player because that downed character isn't currently a threat.
Exactly. I'm the same. If you're hitting characters when they're down, some GMs like to do, well, I've nominated that I'm going to hit you twice, so I'm going to hit you twice. And other GMs are like, well, I've hit once, they've gone down, now I'm going to choose who to hit next. Strategically, you're better to use that attack on someone that is up than someone is down. If you're hitting people that are down, you are trying to kill, ultimately. And yeah, you might have some big bads who are trying to kill. That's fine. But yeah, I would never do that to someone who wasn't there. It just feels a bit mean.
It is in your power to...
They've randomized it and rolled a dice because it said it rolled to...
And I will do that as well. Even if a player's not there, I'll randomize it. But up until that point, I would go, okay, now let's look at the other players. Equally, if he really had to commit to it for some reason,
Mm,
fudge the roll. I
yeah,
know it's a last resort, but come on,
yeah. Well,
they're not there.
I mean, yeah, have them killed, but give them a means to come back, or give them a means to be healed or resurrected. But I think the big cock up here is hitting him when they're unconscious. There was no
I
need
mean, they
for it.
said there's a cleric in a nearby town and that can play out, but it doesn't sound like he's told them that.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it could have just dropped a gentle repose scroll on the loot of
yeah, there's
the
so many things the DM could do here to just because it's fantasy game
because that player can't
is
play now until they get to the town, find the cleric, bring them back, if that's what he's going to allow them to do. I'm a bit torn here. I think it is a bit crappy. Like you, I'd
so
go easy if they're not there, but again,
yeah.
that's unfair on the other players because it means you're hitting the other players harder because someone can't make it. You could argue that's less fair because those players are there.
First instance,
They
they need
weren't
to
there.
talk to the player.
Yeah, straight
Um,
away. Straight away.
and one of the comments just gave them what to say, and I liked this. I also like their username. It's unctuous homunculus. Hey, so of course the thing that we worried about happened, and your character died in the last fight while you were away. The other players really did their best to keep him alive, but the dice just weren't on his side. Kind of sucks that you weren't there, but that is what it is. So now we need to know how you want to proceed. Do you want them to go on a quest to bring them back? And you play another character till that happens? Do you want to give them a hero's funeral and move on to a new character entirely? Do you want him to be approached by a devil or some powerful entity in limbo for a deal to come back? I can make any of these happen, and of course, I'm open to suggestions. What do you want for this character? Bam, problem solved with adequate communication.
Get that guy on or girl. Perfect.
Well,
Yeah.
they're an unctuous homunculus.
Unctuous. What?
Unctuous.
Unctuous. Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great way of dealing with it because ultimately, yeah, they haven't had the control of what happened. They might have died even if they had been there, but because they were absent, yeah, give them an option. They might be bored of the character. They might be quite happy to have a change. They might see it as a great role playing opportunity to have this person who's passed to the other side and comes back with a memory of that. Or there's so many story options here. And I think, yeah, I think it's only fair to give them a boot back if they died when they weren't present.
My player left the table. Am I in the wrong? This story is from RD&D and user Mr. X8. I was going to make you read one just to laugh at your cold reading,
Okay.
and this is the one that's really badly formatted.
So the story goes like this. I asked my table today if we can play tomorrow. Kind of late, but I still wanted to ask. This would be our third session, and one of my players couldn't join us since I said it too late and he was going to a birthday. All the other people could play. I said, oh, well, have fun, and continued to talk with my players about the tomorrow's game. I see what you mean. He said, why are you playing without me? And I said, most people can. So we're still running. Don't worry, you will get a recap. After some back and forth, he said, if you play without someone else like that, I won't continue to play. I said, okay, don't if you really think we're going to wait for only one player. So he did. He left the group chat. Should I have waited for him? Edit. Okay, I just realized I can't respond to every comment. I thank everyone. Also, I thought it was well established that if half or more players play the game, it's happening. But I guess not. Well, I did send a message to the player saying that it wasn't good for me to notify them like this. And if he still wanted to play, he could, since we would make a set day for D&D as well. So I'm thinking about just running one shots or some silly stuff laying around if two players aren't at the table.
Did that hurt?
It was painful. It is still painful because it's still there in front of my eyes. Just the sea of words lacking in punctuation. Yeah, well, you're laughing, but you've got to put punctuation and stuff in that.
I do. I have to put it in the edit, but I usually do. I just didn't have time today. Anyway, look, this guy, by the sounds of it, it sounds like they're proper laid back, casual, do you want to play today? They clearly don't have a regular day. I think that feels important to point out because a lot of the people in the post were going, it's really out of order for you to just go, "Do you want to play tomorrow?" But it sounds like that might be up until now how they were doing it.
It
Is it
sounds
just
like
me?
they're just a bit impulsive. They're the kind of person that's in the moment and thinks that's normal, but that's not normal for everybody. I mean, I'm an ADHD person, right? So I am very in the moment, and I do often think like that.
Oh, I
And
would 100% be like, "Hey, Matt, do you wanna play D&D today?"
as would I, but we
It
have
just
a
wouldn't work.
it wouldn't work. We have a regular day for a reason. And don't get me wrong, I get frustrated with people not turning up or dropping out at short notice if there isn't a good reason, because as a GM, I've put all the work in. But if it was the other way around, I think I'd probably be just as annoyed if I missed the game because it got moved without any discussion. We always discuss it, right? If we're going to move something or we're going to cancel, it's a joint decision. We
'Cause you
don't
could have
just,
equally been doing something with that day.
yeah, exactly. It is pretty key to remember that like, it's not the case of the player hasn't turned up, is it? It's that the fact that they've just dropped a game when the player can't go. So it kind of, if it would feel like you're being excluded, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think the real issue with this is the way that they said, "Can people play tomorrow?" The other player said, "No," and they went, "Oh, well," and didn't acknowledge that at all.
Yeah, it's just a distinct lack of any empathy or
Maybe I'm being too kind, but it's the fact that they have posted, essentially, "Am I the asshole?" And then what you're about to read, how they've resolved it. They wanted to know why their friend was annoyed with them. They clearly just didn't understand.
I think you're right. It doesn't sound malicious, it just sounds a bit
It's just someone who really wants to play with their friends and has
exactly.
let that, and that's just washed over them. Oh, one friend can't come. Oh, well, the rest of them can come. Yay, I can play. I
And
think it's just a human being problem.
I think it is a human being problem. We all perceive the world differently. We all are good at some things and not good at others. We often talk about it, don't we? Most people in our group are neurodiverse in some way or another, and that presents lots of different challenges, doesn't it?
Hmm,
Ultimately, like me, I have a memory. I have ADHD, so I have a memory like a sieve. I often forget things.
I'm
And
reactive as sorry, AF.
yeah, yeah, I can be a bit reactive.
No, me.
Oh, yeah, but I can be reactive too. But yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like sometimes if betrayal in a game like really stings you, doesn't it? For example, and we've had
Or like when we
conversations.
first started playing and I get really emotional and have emotional reactions, you'd be like a bit worried about me afterwards. And I'm like, I know myself, I'll be fine soon. Hit me with that update.
The most important part. I just talked to him. We discussed our expectations and things for the game. We made a compromise. I asked all the players, and they will do some fun side quests, and we will schedule a day when we play. We will continue with the story once he joins. Everyone was happy to hear it, and it seems all is well after all. Thank you guys so much for making me understand both sides.
You didn't say that the way it's written, which is, thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
guys. Yeah, all caps. No, I didn't. He did the right thing. He asked for advice, but ultimately spoke to the group and they all discussed. I think scheduling a day is spot on. Well done to the GM and well done to the player for speaking up, to be honest.
Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also join the live chat on Twitch at Bonus Action Heroes. If you want to suggest Reddit stories to cover, please comment below or join our Discord linked in the description.